One fateful day in February, Nintendo announced something nobody expected, and it left us all with a mixed bag of feelings. Some were thrilled, others disappointed, but nobody could deny that it was a roller coaster. Fans, including myself, were hyped at the possibility of Mario Kart 9, but what we got was a totally different bag. It had us going from oh to whoa to oh no to it costs how much? But now here we are with the first wave of courses to consume, and I'm here today to provide you with the definitive, definitely not subjective ranking of the Wave 1 of the DLC Booster Course Pass. I'll be ranking just the 8 courses in the DLC, and when the next wave comes out, I will do those individually and then ranked all together as each wave comes out. Nintendo were generous and implemented the new screen, which houses all the new cups that are coming out in the Booster Pass. The cups that we got this wave are the Golden Dash Cup, which contains Paris Promenade, Toad Circuit, Choco Mountain, and Coconut Mall, and the Lucky Cat Cup, which contains Tokyo Blur, Shroom Ridge, Sky Garden, and Ninja Hideaway. So for now, it'll just be 8, but let's get right into it, starting from worst and moving up to the very best on the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Pass Wave 1 Objective Ranking List. Number 8, Tokyo Blur. I want to begin by saying that all the tracks in this pass are at least decent, but as is the nature of lists like these, only one of them must be the worst, and that title goes to Tokyo Blur. Even as I'm reading this, the track is a bit of a blur in my mind. Like, it's forgettable. The problem this track has is that it feels uninspired. They just took a few Tokyo landmarks like the Tokyo Tower, the Camino Ramon Gate, and the historic and iconic Tokyo Highway? They threw it into a track with little inspiration. They just kinda missed the mark, it feels like. How cool would it have been if we could drive through a section of subway, like the Super Bell subway, and then pop out in the middle of a downtown temple or something? Instead, we just drive along extremely wide roads and make a few forgettable turns. It does have different lap layouts, which is cool, but overall, it's just not that great. That's not to say the music isn't great, because it's pretty awesome. It just had to get stuck on a track like this. Unfortunate. Number 7 goes to Toad Circuit. This one had the greatest backlash online for being so saturated and lacking texture. It epitomizes everyone's worry about the entire Booster Course Pass, that the tracks will be basic and have little effort in them. It appears that this one adheres to that assumption. The colors are so saturated that I had to reduce the saturation so the colors in the recording wouldn't bleed, and the track is basic with no alterations since 3DS. And the grass. Let's not get into the grass. They just didn't use any of the assets they had for Mario Kart 8 in this track at all. Take these tires for example. You see that this one is in the shadows and it looks a bit awkward? It doesn't cast its own shadow? Now look at these tires on GBA Mario Circuit in the base game and how much more detailed the textures are, but also the shadows. It's really quite embarrassing. I certainly hope Nintendo sees criticism about this stuff and corrects it in future waves. But overall, the track is basic, just as it was in the original, and is intended to be the basic track, so we can give it a pass for being in the first cup, and not absolute last on the list. Number 6 belongs to Sky Garden. Possibly the shortest track in the pass, and likely the shortest segment of this video. Or at least, it feels like it's the shortest. They certainly overhauled it from the days on the GBA to the point where it's almost unrecognizable, but the general aesthetic is decent. Just like the previous track on this list, Sky Garden suffers from looking like another track in the base game and falling woefully short on the quality scale in comparison, that track being Cloud Top Cruise. What was much improved on, however, is the soundtrack. The song for this track slaps, and it really fits the mood. The track layout is decent, with multiple changes in elevation to give the track some diversity, and the gliding section at the end is a fun send-off to a short track. Coming in at number 5 is Choco Mountain. As an N64 kid, seeing Choco Mountain in the first wave made me ecstatic. It looked so great in the trailers, and I couldn't wait to try it in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. However, what we ended up getting was less than extraordinary. Don't get me wrong, this is a great track and a great remix of the song and layout. The cave introduction and the broken bridge glider section is a clever way to switch up the aesthetics of the track from a dangerous mountain road to a mysterious mountainside cavern. It has bats like Wario's gold mine, but they pose essentially no threat to the players. Further down the track, the iconic falling chocolate boulders fall from above, indicating their impact point this time clearly on the ground. These are actually very hard to get hit by, but I aimed for it so that footage of it exists. Overall, the track is a great upgrade from the original, but a few changes hold it back, such as the removal of the fog, which gave the track a more dangerous vibe, and the addition of the barrier on the top level at 150cc. One of the best parts about playing multiplayer on this track in N64 was to knock people down to the valley below to force them to have to do the boulder-ridden hairpin turn again. Alas, those days are gone, and even if there was no railing, Lakitu, ever present, would surely swoop in to catch the stragglers. I miss those old days. Taking the number 4 spot is Paris Promenade. I was quite negative about this track upon the initial release, and then as I played it more, I began to appreciate it more and more. This track takes us around the streets of Paris in a delightful promenade of the city's landmarks set to some rather unfittingly pleasant music for a racing game. Unlike the Tokyo track, this one provides an interesting and engaging tour throughout the Paris cityscape, with notable landmarks like the Eiffel Tower, Obelisk of Luxor, and the Arc de Triomphe. Sorry for that pronunciation, I'm just a filthy American. Speaking of America, they put in those European intersections too, the roundabouts or whatever. The course does something similar to Tokyo, except much more interesting on the final lap, where we're able to drive backwards on the same stretch of track that other racers might also be on. This leads to some dangerous interactions if you're really far in the lead, because you can collide with players that have stars and bullet bills, and it makes the game a lot more interesting. One final thing I want to note is that the consistency across the pass is inconsistent. For example, look at this bush on Paris Promenade, and now look at this bush in Tokyo Blur. It's the same bush, but the Tokyo one clearly has more detail. What happened, Nintendo? Get it together! Number 3 goes to the fan favorite Coconut Mall. This one would have placed higher seeing as it is one of the best Mario Kart tracks of all time, but something, or rather a few things, didn't sit right with me with this one. Most notably the color scheme. Again, I had to hit my saturation slider so that my footage didn't bleed out into your retinas. It's just so insanely bright and colorful. As well as that, the escalators have been changed to just conveyor belts, which was an odd choice, and as every person in the history of Mario has noted, the cars don't move. But honestly, those are the only downsides since the remix is incredible. The track twists and turns through a busy mall just like before, and it's a grand old time. The addition of the glider section at the top ramp was a given. I mean, who didn't see that coming? And the general quality of the track has increased overall. It certainly is still a great track, and nothing could take that away. The surprise number 2 pick is Shroom Ridge. Yes, I know. You're asking, why the heck would you put this track so high on the list? Listen, it may be rooted in nostalgia, but this track ticks all the boxes. It's got an amazing remix to the song that somehow stays true to the original. It has some tough turns and interesting obstacles that are dynamic and change all the time. It has a break near the middle with a beautiful flowery field, and just after is an interesting tunnel section that actually looks pretty cool on Switch graphics. It's got shortcuts. Aside from the visual fidelity, it is all around a much better version of Toad's Turnpike. There's really not much else to say. I think it's a great track and possibly the best remake in this wave. But we all know what the number 1 track was going to be before you even click this video. That's right, say it with me, the number 1 spot is Ninja Hideaway is clearly the best track in this wave of DLC. Forget the best in the DLC or even the best in Mario Kart 8 itself. Ninja Hideaway, I could argue, is one of the best Mario Kart tracks of all time. It's got so much going for it, I don't know where to start. Well, let's start from the start, I guess. Right off the bat, you start on top of a roof, in front of a dojo under a bamboo banner. Immediately amazing to start off, then it just gets better. As you round the first couple corners into the building, you can choose from multiple paths, a theme that's prevalent throughout the track as a whole. You have the option to take the stairs and go up to the rafters, or you can take the turn a bit wider and go down to the lower level where you must dodge shuriken traps. Already so good. But then you exit the room and enter a wide open glider section into yet another building. Once again, you can choose to go high in the rafters or go low through the sewers. Both paths fling you out on tops of buildings and scaffolding as you race along the tiles all the way back to the finish line. And if that wasn't enough to wow you, the song absolutely bops. I mean, it really throws it down. I don't know how you finish the race while jamming to this song. The only downside to this track, in my opinion, is this hallway. It's just way too long and empty. But overall, this is easily the best track in this pass, and like I said, probably one of the all-time greats in Mario Kart. So that's my list. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe because I'm going to be back to do the rest of the waves as they come out. Remember to stay safe, be healthy, and have a good day. Toodles!